Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to part 2, which is going to be the coloring part, which apparently everyone was more excited about than anything else. Just let me say, like, right off the bat, that like coloring isn't a science, it's really basic intuitive stuff, and it doesn't even take that much time. Especially if you know what you want to do with a picture. I'm gonna show you like a couple of things that I won't be doing to this picture, but just to show you that they exist and that they can be done. I'm gonna show you. But yeah, let's get started. Now we have the retouching layers here, so we're just gonna take those and put them in a group so we have those like together. I always start off with like the dodge and burn, which isn't exactly it's not exactly coloring, it's more like definition, but it's not exactly like retouching either. So you're gonna press like Control, Shift and N, or Command and N or something, and then you're gonna go right here to Soft Light and then tick the box. And okay, and it's created like this new grey layer. Now there's many ways to dodge and burn, but this is one that I'm using, and I'm gonna use like the dodge and burn tools, obviously. And this one is to lighten things up. I always forget which one is like dodge and burn. I think this is dodge, and darken, and the darkening part is burn, I think. Okay, so you don't want to go like overboard with this, but you kind of want to like highlight just certain areas, like especially if there's like little hairs that are illuminated that you kind of like I usually do this like in the mane and on the ears. Like one word of warning, of caution, you don't want to overdo it in the eyes, like kind of like this, because that looks a bit weird. I mean, he has kind of brown eyes, but most horses have very dark eyes, so you don't want to do that. You can do like the light reflex here, you can do that, and just try to make it like around the eye, because like especially he has very expressive eyes, like you can see here, and so you want to try to just define everything around the eyes. You can do that on the bridle too if you want like extra shiny. Damn, she really cleaned that bridle up. That's very nice. Okay, so now when you're like done highlighting the like lighter parts, you're gonna go and grab your burn tool. Sorry again if I got them confused, but you're gonna grab that thing that looks like a hand, and you're gonna darken like the darker areas that you want defined. When doing dodge and burn, it's like it's very helpful if you have like a graphics tablet or something with a pen, because it can be really hard to do with a mouse or with a touchpad even. I know people who can do it and who can do it well, but I really prefer like I think I have a Wacom tablet. I'll have to look what the actual name is. But those are generally really good if you want to look into like buying one, because I really do like they don't make it easier to retouch, but they make it like a lot faster. So once you get a hang of it, it's much faster. Now what people often don't realize, for pictures you can go a bit like overboard with makeup, because it's gonna look different in the end anyway. So I know many people are like, when people come to a photo shooting, like full face makeup, they're kind of like, oh god, that looks so unnatural. But when you look like at the final pictures, it doesn't even look that unnatural. Okay, now since she's so pale, it seems like her neck kind of just goes into her chin seamlessly. So we're gonna use like Dodge and Burn to correct it a bit and to create some sort of like shadow here. I don't know if that was a bit too much. We'll see. Yeah, that was a bit too much. So just bring that down. Like you can use like really low like opacity. It's not opacity, something else that it's called basically. I've got it on 4% right now. Okay, now that looks like, you see how she didn't have, like, she does have a chin, but it kind of seems to just, I don't know, flow into the neck. And now we have created like a bit of a shadow there where a shadow would be, because the light comes from here. So yeah, that's a bit more helpful. Okay, so for the coloring part, for the actual coloring, let's just move that layer into this. Great. I'm going to start off to show you how to like correct a bit of redness in the face. And you are gonna grab this down right here. And these are like the layers that you can choose, like the... I have no idea what it's called, I'm gonna write it on the screen later. And you are gonna choose Hue and Saturation. And you are gonna go to Reds. And then bring that all the way up, and that's gonna look really ridiculous. And now you're gonna try to narrow it down to the redness in her face, like you can see here. The things that are gonna turn green right now, or blue. That's like the redness in her face. Okay, so we want to bring that down just a little bit. No, we want to bring it up a little bit. And then bring the saturation down way more and just lighten it up a bit. And she's gonna look very pale, like very, very pale. And then we're gonna go on this layer mask that is there by Divine and just go Control and I to invert it. Now you're gonna see like the redness returned, or you're not gonna see that because I did something else apparently. Okay, now I should be able to see it. So you see how she turned really pale, and that's what you don't want, that's why you invert this. And then you go over with like a brush, that's my logo, with a soft brush, very small brush, and kind of a low opacity, like 50. And you're gonna go over like the red areas with a white brush. Choose white here. Now since her face isn't like crazy red, it's not gonna make that much of a difference, if at all, but just I wanted to have shown you like how it is possible, because like you see here all the pink tones are kind of like desaturated. And if someone has like a really red blotchy face, then it's gonna help with that. Okay, but here in this case it's really not that much needed. Like the rosy cheeks are kinda nice. It's alright. Okay, my general picture editing color, oh god, I'm gonna get my words mixed up again. Okay, so you're gonna go to that again. And this time you're gonna go to Selective Coloring, I think it's called. And now what you're gonna do is just play around with it. So maybe if you got your reds, let's see what the reds are. Okay, the reds are mostly the horse and like the girl's face and her flower crown. So I'm gonna bring, like if you want the horse to be really orange, you can do this, but that's a bit too much. I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit. If you want it really light yellow, that's the way to go. Okay, so I just want them like a little bit darker and a little bit more orange. And then we're gonna move on to yellows. And yellows, mostly when you have greens in the background and you think it's greens, because green consists of yellows and blues, it's gonna have more yellow, especially like in the spring when everything is kind of like this light green color. You're gonna have definitely more yellows in the green tones, so when you pick the yellows, it's definitely gonna affect like the whole green spectrum. So maybe we're just gonna open like a new layer for that, because like you can see if I choose to do that, it's gonna affect the horse too, because orange is obviously red and yellow. So we are just going to open a new one of those. And here you can see the yellow tones. Now if you want those like warm colors, you can bring down the cyan and it's gonna give you this, which is kind of nice, I guess. I'm not sure yet whether I like this or whether I think I'm gonna go for like a little bit more cooler tones. But what we're gonna do is click on the layer mask and now choose a brush and choose a black brush, and we're just gonna like mask out the horse. Okay, and set the opacity to 100. Okay, now compared to before, the horse kind of looks a bit dull right now, but you're gonna change that perspective later on, because like we want this to be a horse, not like a bright orange beacon of hope. Okay, so now that we got the horse mask out, like if you want those to be like a little bit more orange, you can go in with the magenta and then go to greens and bring down the cyan a bit more, and that's gonna create like those really deep orangey tones that kind of like remind you of autumn and stuff. But since this was taken in spring and I really don't want those to be like this yellow, because like I said in part 1, it kind of interferes with the horse color. You know, like it's kind of, I don't like it. Okay, so what I'm going for is like a bit more I'll just play around with this for a bit. Okay, so I thought I would do like a little bit more of a darkish green, but turns out it was too bright to actually do that, so I'm gonna stick like with the yellow for a bit. Or I'm just gonna try out something new. Let me just try something. So I'm gonna duplicate that, and that looks horrible. Welcome to hell. And I'm just gonna try. Okay, so what I could do here is go to all the layers we have down here and take another one with HueSaturation. And then just choose kind of like the greens. Okay, but I'm still not satisfied with this in in comparison to what I did before. So this is what it looks like now. And this is the other thing. I'm gonna make a few adjustments to that later, but I'm gonna go with that. Okay, but now you can clearly see that I wasn't really clean enough with the edges here, so I'm gonna go back in with a brush and just really clean that up. Because we don't want the orange horse and we don't want like the green background. Okay, now that we've got that, we go back in here with the unmasked layer of selective color, and we go in with like the cyan and the blue tones, and like you can see, obviously cyan and blue are gonna affect her dress, but I kind of like the dress the way that it is, maybe like a little bit darker. Yeah, but I like it that way. Like you can obviously like change the color completely. Purple or something. Purple, let's do deep purple. Deep purple is a band, isn't it? Okay, but let's not do that. I'm fine with the dress. And now, like the pinkish tones are gonna be the flowers, obviously. You never know with the pinkish tones because they're gonna affect many things that you don't see, especially when you have like a black horse. You need to watch out for that because there's gonna be like pink undertones hiding in the fur, like pink and green undertones with a black horse. Like black horses are very, very hard to edit, obviously. Okay, but I'm fine with the flowers either way, so that's all good. Okay, so this is basically how you make the whole coloring. You can do it with selective color and you can do it with like HueSaturation. The thing with HueSaturation is, I'm gonna show you. If you go in especially for like yellow tones, and now you're gonna do something like that, there can be some really like nasty edges around well, everything, and so you don't really know, you never know how it's gonna affect these things. And selective coloring, I feel like, is a bit more, I don't want to say selective because that's obviously in the name, but that's basically it. Okay, so we're gonna leave that be, and that's actually alright. And now that I always recommend to you like name your groups. I'm too lazy for that, but that would be like named retouching, and that would be probably like named coloring. And so we're gonna do an extra group, and you see how much it changed. Like seriously, it's like a whole different mood. It's funny because in the beginning I said like I wasn't gonna do the autumny, foliage tones, but now I am. You never know with pictures, you never know. Okay, so now I have like, we go to this and go to gradation curves. And curves are kind of like my favorite thing because I don't have Lightroom, and curves are kind of like the one thing that I think is really cool. Like you can download presets everywhere, but I have a lot of presets, but usually they look kind of like shit like that. I have no idea why I still have them. Some look really good, but it always depends. Like I have those for human pictures, which they are great for, but they don't really work on the horse pictures that much because of the coat color of the horses. Okay, so usually I do like I bring the whole picture down a bit, and then bring that end up like a little bit, and then bring just kind of like the highlights up a bit. Now that's gonna look like really contrasty. Yeah, exactly. So maybe let's try something. You don't have to do this with the like pulling that up, by the way, because it creates like this faded black, which I really like, but not everyone likes. so you can keep that down too. Okay, so normally I would be like satisfied with that, but I'm really not. I think like this part is too dark, and like her eyes are too dark, and the whole horse is a bit like has too much contrast, so I'm gonna use that just for the background now. I hold Alt on this layer mask and then just pull it in there, and it creates the same layer mask, so the horse is masked out. And now I'm gonna press Ctrl until this little thing here appears and click on the layer mask, and I press Ctrl, Shift and I to invert like the selection. You could always do that over the menu, but I've decided to do it over the shortcuts. And then you go again down here and to gradation curves, and you can see now we have like a special layer just for the horse, so we can do whatever with it. Again, I'd like to bring the highlights up a bit, and now I'm just gonna leave that here and not bring it down like with the other layer. I'm just gonna leave that here. Okay, now creating a new gradation curves layer. I'll just show you what you can do with like we have right here now the RGB curve, which is obviously affecting everything, but we don't want that. And then we have the reds curve, which is, you guessed it, affecting the reds. So if I bring that down, everything goes a little bit greener, because obviously green is the opposite color to red. So bring that up, everything goes a bit like red, pinkish. So let's just say we want that. And green, obviously bring it down, everything gets pink, bring it up, everything gets green. And blue, which is kind of my favorite layer. You can do like this really cool effects with it. Like if I were to put it here. And you can also like, obviously when you bring it down it gets really yellow. So okay, I'm not really sure if I'm liking this, because it's a bit too greenish for me. Like obviously you can go completely nuts with it and just go like, yay, this is everything. Which can have like a nice effect too, but yeah, it always depends on what your style is. It's not my style, so okay, it hasn't changed that much, but you can probably not see it in the video. Now, for like one final thing for the coloring, you can go down to your layers and choose color balance. Now you can see this is, I have no idea what this actually means, but it changes a little. Like if you do this and you check this box, it's all, wow, what the hell. I mean, it speaks for itself obviously, but it's still kind of weird why this is an option. Okay, so what I like to do is go into the lights and just pull the lights like a little bit towards the cyan side, because when you pull it towards the red side it tends to be like overly red and everybody gets this like red glow. Okay, now with the color balance you have to be really careful, because like you can see, like little can do very much. and that's actually enough for me. Okay, now I'm thinking I'm gonna like desaturate the background just a little bit. So I'm gonna go in here and go to dynamic. I hope that's what it's called in English too. And just I'm gonna bring dynamic up and saturation down a bit. And I'm gonna apply the mask where the horse is black. Yeah, and that's actually doing it for me. Okay, so you can, if you want to, like make the edges a bit darker, kind of like adding a vignette to it, and making this one a bit lighter, which I'm going to show you now. I don't think I'm going to do it because this part is very light to begin with, and this part is kind of like darkened because of all the trees that were around. But let's just try. Okay, so if I were to lighten this, I'd probably just grab a gradation curve. My voice is leaving me. And then go to the gradient. Choose a black and white circle gradient. And then I just kind of drag it here. And that's the other way around from what we want to have, so Control and I. And this is kind of how you get like this illuminated centerpiece. And the same thing with like the darkened edges. You can do this with the gradation curves, or you can go to levels, and which is what I do when I darken the edges, and just kind of bring that down a bit. You gotta be very careful with it because it's kind of strong. And you go to this again, like the gradient tool, and you're gonna pull, and yep, that's kind of how you do it. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm liking this, but I'm gonna just leave it for now. Okay, so I think that's about it for today. Let's just see what we did today. So we did the general retouching is what we did the last time. Then we did like the coloring part. Then we did the curves. And then we did like the vignette and the enlightened center. And I think that's about it. That's how I would keep the picture. Now I'm gonna always like add a logo, obviously, but I think that's like up to you. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and yeah, you can, I have no idea how to do this YouTube thing. You can obviously like subscribe and stuff, and I'm gonna post on like Facebook and stuff if I upload a new video, which I'm probably gonna do like someday. Maybe like another speed edit, or we'll see, maybe I'll do like a live stream. Yeah, we'll see. I hope that helps, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.